Good evening, welcome to tonight's episode of Crushed Custard. It's another edition of the random album generator game. For those of you who may have missed what the random album generator game is, and you can all play along, you need to leave me 3 numbers in the comments section below one of my videos, and those numbers will need to be between 0 and 100. And I will then take out an album placed in it. So if you pick out number 46, I will pick out the 46th album on a particular shelf, and we'll just have a quick brief look at it, and I'll maybe tell you about where I got it from and all that sort of stuff. How do I work out the shelf numbers? Well, initially I was going to let people pick the shelf number, but I realised that far too many of my viewers, subscribers, associates or whatever are a little bit clever or a little bit crafty, and that they would be able to work out that I'll find everything alphabetically. So you get some bright spark and go A1 and we get a Lee Aaron album, or A1, 1-1, or and then would like say 37 or 100 and they get a ZZ Top album. So the shelf number is generated randomly by a random number generator that I use on the laptop. Now also today, for the first time, I'm trying out some new editing software, which may mean that you don't get to see too much of me facing the wrong way and all that sort of stuff. If that works out okay, then I might start doing the shelf selection live as well, so people don't know, so people do know that I'm not fiddling. So we'll try that out a bit later on as well. So anyway, today's selections were made by my good friend Harvey, who is a massive Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath fan, also happens to support Birmingham City and will not accept that the majority of Black Sabbath support Aston Villa. He doesn't like that at all. But anyway, on to his selections, which I don't think have got any Black Sabbath connections whatsoever. But as usual, there will be 1 or 2 Purple family things in there. So let's get straight into it, he says. Straight into it, you've been waffling for 2 minutes already. So, first album today, selected by Mr. Harvey Brereton, was this one. And that is Bobby Bland. Bobby Bland, Get On Down, this album is called. Now, this came out about 1975, I think it was. It was just after his probably 2 best albums, which were Dreamer and the California album. Now, 1 or 2 of you are probably thinking, where did Bobby Bland? Where did Bobby Bland from? Well, should have heard of Bobby Bland because he's pretty good. But also, he's probably most known, the people that I associate with anyway, because he's the man who wrote Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, which of course became a massive sort of song for Whitesnake, was a staple all there. He probably still is. Coverdale probably does a great job of miming to it these days. Anyway, the story behind that is for a different video, but being as I know it, I might as well tell you quickly, is that they heard the song and they wrote the lyrics down, and I think it was Bernie Marsden's job to write the lyrics down, and he forgot to write down a second verse, which is why that's not in the song. But anyway, that's not on this album. This is an album years later, and this is his country album. It's got a lot of country songs in it. And another thing that is interesting that links it back up with other stuff, you'll remember a few weeks ago I did a review of a chap called Jess Roden. Now, on the album, 2 albums I think after the one that I looked at the other day, Jess Roden recorded a track called Too Far Gone. Well, it's on here as well, like Bobby Bland. So it's amazing how you can listen to all the different versions of these songs, all these different people. These albums are quite difficult to get hold of. You can see my copy, the sleeve is battered. It's like that when I got it. Luckily, the record inside is pristine and it's perfect. It's a great album, and I'll put a link to it. I think there's a few tracks on YouTube, but Bobby Bland, a great songwriter, and this is a blues singer doing a country album, but it sounds more blues than country, if you get what I mean. Well worth tracking down. Good choice from Harvey there. Now, the second album today is by another person who might be a little bit obscure to a lot of you. This bloke only made 2 solo albums, but he wrote a #1 single. The #1 single wasn't on either of these albums. The #1 single was for the band that he was in. Now, I'm going to try a little bit of a game here. I'm not going to tell you who knows? You'll be able to find it. You can Google it, I suppose. There's probably no point. Number 1 single, written by Speedy Keen. Now, what band was Speedy Keen in, and what track did he write that was number 1 hit single? This guy only made 2 solo albums after being in that particular band, and this is wonderful. It's how would you describe it? I suppose it's probably like all those sort of 70s albums. It's got lots of keyboards on it. It's nice, and it's got some acoustic bits, and it's got some folky bits, and it's got some slightly rocky bits. And I tell you what, it has got on it as well. It's got some great musicians on it. And let me tell you this, you'll have heard of, definitely heard of most, if not all of these. It's got Terry Wilson and Tony Bronigal, who are both in Backstreet Crawler and Crawler. It's also got Rabbit Bundrick on it as well, who was also in that band, and he was also in Free. Add on to that, it's got BJ Cole playing the steel guitar. BJ Cole seemed to get everywhere, didn't he, in the 70s. No, I've got it. Notice I'm not using my magnifying glass today because they're albums, and I can just about read them. There's some great people on there. Simon Kirkman's on the other one. He's not on this one, but John Keane does the lead and backing vocals, and he plays acoustic and electric guitar, and he was a keyboard and piano man mainly. His other solo album, he only made 2. This one, which is called You Know What I Mean, and the other one's called Previous Convictions. That is, as far as I know, one of the few albums that's ever been released with a braille cover. I've got that somewhere. I'll have to dig that out one day. I'll have a look. So anyway, there you go. That's sort of chat you might not have heard of. I'll put a link to this in the links. Speedy Keen. You can see it again, another one from the famous old record and tape exchange. This one was a whole pound. Goodness me, that was a lot then. Okay, the third album today is another interesting one. I remember buying this when it came out. 1985. So it's 80s rock music. I don't know what 80s rock music sounds like. A lot of synthesizing and keyboard stuff in there and whatever. Female fronted as well, this. This is the first album from Fiona Flanagan, to give her a full title. Now this is the European version, carrying a totally different cover in America. The American cover, I don't think the American cover particularly went with the music. She was like jumping up in the air in some sort of frilly dress thing. This looks more like a person who's got to be playing rock music to me. So this is good. What's it like? Think of 80s Heart. Think of Pat Benatar. Think of all those type of things. Think of 80s Cher in some ways as well. It's really good, and she has got a really sort of powerful voice. I was going to consider sort of suggesting that it wasn't too far removed from the likes of Leanne and Lita Ford, but their musical backing was far heavier and almost metal-like in some places. Whereas this is all done for American radio. You can hear it without me having to describe it, can't you? You just know what that sound is like. But she seems to have got a really sort of rockier voice in some places. Really, really sort of strong voice. There's some great songs on this. There's some great songs, some great videos on YouTube as well. Talk to Me is probably the one that most people might know. There's a very interesting track on it called Love Makes You Blind, which is quite similar in its chorus to a song that Mr. Coverdale put out in about the year 2000. So I'm sure he must have heard this at some point. So yeah, I'll put you a link into this as well. Get a listen to this. So 3 rather random ones today. Bobby Bland, Speedy Keen, and Fiona Flanagan. If you're trying to look for her on YouTube, you do have to put the Flanagan in, although she didn't actually use Flanagan. If you put just Fiona in, you have to scroll through 38 ton of Fiona Apple and all sorts of other stuff until you eventually get to any. But you put Fiona Flanagan in, you get it straight away. So there we go, that's today's crushed custard. I'm going to go and do a bit of tinkering and editing now. So not only would I like you to leave me some numbers, because I'm running out of numbers and I'm not picking myself, that'd be pointless. I'd also like you to let me know if the sound is any better, because a lot of people are telling me that the sound isn't coming across very loud, and I've done lots of research today and found that it's all to do with things to do with YouTube and decibels and all sorts of nonsense. So I've found some sort of sound enhancing thing, which I'm now going to try and put it through. It should give it a bit of a boost. And at the same time as I'm doing that, I should be able to edit the video so we can cut out all the bits of me just talking stupid, or obviously not cut out all the bits of me talking stupid, otherwise there'll be nothing left. Anyway, there we go. That's today's crushed custard. Fiona, Bobby Bland, and Speedy Keen. There you go. Catch you next time.